Today, you're about to hear a powerful story about how a routine traffic stop turned into something no one in that small town could have predicted. It's a story about prejudice, silence, and unexpected justice. What happened that morning on a desert highway will stay with you long after the video ends. Subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and leave a comment below. For every new subscriber, I'll donate $1 to a veteran support organization. Let's make stories like this heard, and let's make a difference together. The sun was already burning hot over the Arizona highway by 9 a.m. Casting long shadows across the empty two-lane road just outside the small town of Yuma. The kind of place where nothing much ever happens until it does. A matte black military-style motorcycle cruised down the road, the rider calm and composed, dressed in desert camouflage pants and a faded army jacket. His helmet visor was down, but you could see the strong jawline and dark skin of a young man, no older than 24. At mile marker 12, red and blue lights flashed behind him. A sheriff's department SUV had been tailing him for a few minutes before deciding to flip the siren on. The bike slowed and pulled over without hesitation. Two officers stepped out, Deputy Collins, white, in his 50s, with mirrored sunglasses and a thick southern drawl, and Officer Pratt, younger, chewing gum like it was the only thing keeping him awake. They approached the biker cautiously, as if already convinced they were dealing with trouble. Collins said, "This your bike, son?" The rider didn't answer. Instead, he calmly shut off the engine, kicked the stand and took off his helmet. His expression was unreadable. Pratt laughed. "That's a real fancy ride for a guy like you. Military issue? You serious? You steal it off a base or something?" The young man slowly reached into his back pocket and pulled out a worn leather wallet. He opened it, revealing a military ID card. It had his photo, name, Cole Jameson, rank, Sergeant, branch, U.S. Army. Collins didn't even look at it. He waved his hand dismissively and said, yeah, I've seen these fakes before. You boys order 'em online now?" Pratt took the ID, squinting at it. Then he looked at the bike. Military plates. "Where'd you even get those?" "From eBay." Still, the rider said nothing. He just stood there, steady, hands visible, calm. That silence only made them angrier. Collins barked, "Turn around." Hands on the bike. Without resistance, Cole obeyed. His silence was not fear. It was something else, something deeper. Pratt patted him down roughly, checking his pockets, his boots, even pulling back his sleeves. "What? No dog tags?" "Oh wait, probably pawned them." Collins activated his body cam. "Let's get this on record. You know, for when you start crying about discrimination and lawyers." They forced him down to his knees, hands behind his back, still speaking to him like he was less than human. Pratt muttered, "Always the same. Think a uniform makes you untouchable. News flash, it don't." Collins added, "You're lucky we don't charge you with impersonating a soldier." Cole didn't fight. He didn't plead. He didn't shout. He looked at the horizon, where the heat shimmered over the asphalt. He glanced at his watch once, briefly, then returned to silence, and in that silence, something was building, something none of them saw coming. Deputy Collins leaned into his radio. Voice, heavy with sarcasm. "Dispatch. This is Unit 14. Run a check on a black military-style bike. Arizona plates. Looks government issue. Rider's got a fake Army ID and an attitude to match. Over." A crackling voice responded. "Copy that, Unit 4. Running the plate now. Stand by." Officer Pratt paced slowly in front of Cole Jameson, chewing his gum louder than necessary, like it gave him power. He leaned down slightly, looking Cole in the eyes. "What's the matter, soldier? Cat got your tongue?" "Oh wait, I forgot. Real soldiers talk. You're just playing dress-up." Cole didn't respond. He sat there on the hot asphalt, knees bent, hands zip-tied behind his back. His dog tags, previously hidden under his shirt, now hung loose and visible. The sun caught the metal and made them gleam, but neither cop seemed to care. Or maybe they just didn't want to look. Pratt laughed to himself, then said, "Nice tags. Probably came with the jacket." Collins joined in. I've seen cleaner uniforms on Halloween. You don't even know how to blouse your boots right. Anyone who's actually served would be embarrassed looking at you. Cole stayed quiet. He glanced down at his wristwatch. Just a quick glance, but Collins noticed. What's that? You got a meeting or something? Still no reply. The young man just stared at the horizon now, the same way he had earlier, like he was waiting for the sun to move, or for something to arrive. Pratt nudged him with a boot. Let me guess. Your gang buddies showing up soon. You signal them with your little eye twitch. You boys gonna roll up on dirt bikes. Maybe throw some middle fingers. Cole blinked slowly. He wasn't angry. He wasn't scared. And that bothered them more than shouting ever could. Dispatch came back. Unit 14. That plate is registered to a government vehicle, assigned to a Sergeant Cole Jameson, stationed at Fort Irwin. He's active duty. Honorable discharge. Currently on extended leave. ID confirmed. Over. Collins stared at his radio. Say that again. Dispatch repeated. ID and registration are clean. Everything checks out. Pratt took a step back, eyes narrowing. No way. That can't be right. Collins muttered. He must have hacked it. Or had someone do it for him. They exchanged a glance. A long one. The kind that said they both knew they had just screwed up, but neither was ready to admit it. Cole looked at his watch again. One more time. Exactly 7 minutes had passed since he was forced to the ground. He lifted his chin slightly, not speaking, just looking past them. Pratt turned, following his gaze. What the? From the edge of the shimmering road, a dust cloud began to form. Heat waves made it hard to see clearly, but it was moving fast. And then, shapes, large ones, square, heavy, military. Collins squinted. Is that a truck? Not a truck, a Humvee. Then a second, then 5, 10 seconds later. The rumble was unmistakable. The sound of military-grade diesel engines echoed across the valley. 10 Humvees, in perfect formation. Then came more, moving in tight. No hesitation. Like a drill, like a mission. Pratt stepped back, voice cracking. What the hell is this? Cole said nothing. His face didn't change, but his eyes followed the convoy. The lead Humvee pulled over to the side of the road and stopped. A woman in full combat uniform stepped out. Captain's bars on her collar. No-nonsense boots. Sharp posture. She didn't look at the officers. She walked straight to Cole. She knelt beside him. Sarge Jameson. Are you injured? Cole shook his head once. She turned to Collins and Pratt. Her voice, calm, but cold. Is there a reason one of my soldiers is zip-tied on the side of a highway? Collins stammered. He didn't say anything. We thought. He matched a description. The captain cut him off. You didn't ask. You assumed. Pratt tried. We were waiting for dispatch to confirm. The captain looked at him like he was a worm on concrete. He was detained without cause, filmed, searched, humiliated, and he said nothing. You know why? Silence. She stood, her back straight, voice like steel. Because he doesn't answer to you. Then, she turned toward the Humvees. Secure the perimeter. And that's when the rest of them stepped out. Dozens of soldiers, moving like clockwork. No yelling, no confusion, just quiet force. One held a camera. Another held a clipboard. A medic approached to check Cole. Someone else began taking statements. From the cops. What started as a simple traffic stop had turned into a full-blown military incident, and it wasn't over yet. The road that had once shimmered with heat now trembled under the weight of rolling steel. One by one, military Humvees pulled off to the shoulder, engines rumbling low like warning growls from a sleeping beast. The dust had barely settled when the last vehicle came to a stop. Deputy Pratt stepped back instinctively, hand twitching near his belt. What the hell is going on? Collins stood frozen, jaw tight, sweat beginning to bead along his forehead. This can't be real. From the lead vehicle, the passenger door swung open with precision. Out stepped a woman in full combat uniform, boots laced tight, sleeves rolled with regulation sharpness, a gleaming captain's insignia on her collar. She moved with practiced discipline, her expression unreadable, She didn't look around. She walked straight toward them. The soldiers fanned out silently, forming a controlled perimeter, like a curtain of calm authority descending over chaos. A drone lifted into the air behind them, broadcasting a soft mechanical hum overhead. The captain's voice rang out, not loud, but commanding. "Hands off, Sergeant Cole Jameson." Now, Collins blinked. "Sergeant?" She stopped a foot from him, eyes hard. "You have exactly 5 seconds to remove those restraints, or I will," Pratt stammered. "Wait, we didn't know who he was." He didn't say anything. The captain raised a single eyebrow. "You needed him to speak, in order to respect him?" No answer. Collins reached down quickly and cut the zip ties from Cole's wrists. Cole stood slowly, rubbing his shoulders. He still hadn't said a word. The captain turned to him. "You good, Sergeant?" He nodded once. She turned back to the deputies. "Do you know who this man is?" Collins replied, hesitantly. "Dispatch said he's a veteran, from Fort Irwin." She folded her arms. "This man just returned stateside 3 days ago. He was part of a classified operation in North Africa, a hostage extraction mission. 8 hostages rescued, 0 casualties. He led the entry team." Pratt's face went pale. She continued, "His unit's being honored today, at the base, in front of his entire division. But he asked for one thing first, 1 hour, to ride his best friend's motorcycle down an old desert road, a friend who never made it home. This bike belonged to Staff Sergeant James Harper, killed in action. Cole maintains it every week, keeps it running, because that's what brothers do." Silence fell over the scene. Even the wind seemed to stop. The captain's voice dropped lower. "And this is what he gets in return. Tossed on the ground, mocked, violated, all because you looked at his skin before his service record." Pratt opened his mouth. We were just following protocol." The captain snapped. "No, you weren't. You were following assumption." 2 military police officers approached. One carried a tablet, the other a body cam of their own. "Captain, we're recording. Should we take statements?" She nodded. "Yes," from both deputies. "Full report. Tag it for JAG review." Collins' voice cracked. "Wait, legal review. We didn't mean," she cut him off. "You don't get to mean. You get to answer." Cole finally spoke, soft, but firm. "Let it go, ma'am. I'm fine." The captain turned to him. Her eyes softened, just a little. "With all due respect, Sergeant, it's not just about you. It's about every kid who sees what happened here today, and thinks silence is the only option. We don't stay silent." Cole nodded slowly. One of the soldiers handed him back his helmet. Another dusted off his jacket. The captain looked around, then said, "Mount up. We ride out in formation. Sergeant Jameson leads." She gave Cole a quiet look, almost like an apology. Not for what had happened, but for the world they still had to return to. Cole swung his leg over the bike. The engine started with a powerful roar. This time, no one questioned if it was his. As the convoy pulled away, the road once again shimmered beneath the sun. But the silence that remained behind was not peaceful. It was heavy, deserved. By the time the convoy returned to base, word had already spread. A cluster of reporters had gathered outside the gates. Some had cameras, others notebooks, but all wore the same curious expression, that hunger for the story behind the spectacle. Captain Reyes stepped forward to meet them. A few microphones went up. One reporter asked, "Captain, why did your unit respond to what some are calling a routine traffic stop?" She didn't flinch, because it wasn't routine. It was wrong. And because Sergeant Cole Jameson deserves better than silence. Another voice chimed in. "Who is Sergeant Jameson?" She looked toward the building behind her, then back at them. "Let me tell you who he is." She folded her arms and took a breath. "During our last operation overseas, Cole was on point when we entered a compound under heavy fire. When the rest of the team took cover, He went back, not once, but 3 times, dragging wounded soldiers out under direct fire. He didn't stop until all 3 were out. He took shrapnel in the leg and kept going. We had to order him to stop. A murmur moved through the reporters. Reyes continued, but that's not even where it starts. Cole grew up in the South Side district of Phoenix. No father. His mother cleaned motels and worked night shifts at a diner to feed them. He didn't complain, not once. He took care of his little sister like a second parent, walked her to school, cooked dinner when his mom couldn't. He joined the military, not for adventure, but so she could have a shot at college. He sends half his paycheck home every month. Another reporter asked. And the motorcycle? Is it his? The captain's expression changed, softer now. It used to belong to his best friend, Staff Sergeant James Harper. They met in basic training, went through everything together, Fort Benning, deployment to Iraq, then Afghanistan. Harper was the loud one, jokes, pranks, always talking about rebuilding his dad's old bike when he got back home. He never got the chance. She paused. He died in a roadside ambush. Cole was next to him. The reporters were quiet now. The wind moved gently across the base. She went on. After the funeral, I found the bike sitting in a crate. I had it restored, presented it to Cole as a unit gift, told him it should still ride, that Harper would have wanted it that way. One of the younger journalists whispered, "That's the bike the cops stopped him on." She nodded. The same one, the one he only rides once a year, on the day Harper died. Same route, same time. The journalists said nothing more. They scribbled their notes, eyes suddenly heavy with meaning. Meanwhile, inside the base, Cole sat alone in the motor pool. The engine of the bike had cooled, but his mind hadn't. His hand ran along the leather grip, worn in, familiar. He remembered Harper's laugh, the way he'd always slap the handlebars and say, "One day, brother, you and me, desert road, no rank, no noise, just wind." Cole had waited for that ride, kept the bike alive for it. Today, he had taken it, alone. He closed his eyes for a moment. Somewhere deep in his chest, the pain stirred again, not sharp, but hollow, like a note held too long. Then came a voice behind him. "Captain's orders," said a soldier. "Time to gear up for the ceremony." Cole stood, straightened his jacket, and placed his helmet under one arm. He didn't say much, didn't need to. His presence was enough, because sometimes, the loudest stories are told by those who rarely speak. And today, finally, the world had listened.
The video was everywhere. Within hours of the incident, the footage from the police body camera had been uploaded online and shared across social media platforms. The clip showed the tense confrontation, the wrongful stop, the rough handling, the blatant disrespect. Viewers saw everything: the dismissal of the veteran's identification, the harsh words, and the cold disregard for the man's service. Comments poured in from across the country. People expressed outrage, disbelief, and solidarity with Sergeant Cole Jameson. Hashtags like "Wait Justice" for Cole and "Eder Veteran Respect" trended for days. The story ignited a firestorm that no one could ignore. News outlets picked up the video and began their own investigations. The narrative shifted from a routine police stop to a glaring example of prejudice and failure in law enforcement. Captain Redder held a press conference, speaking with calm but undeniable passion. If a hero who served his country cannot ride home on a motorcycle without fear of humiliation, then we have all failed. It's not just about one man, it's about respect, dignity, and the values we claim to uphold. Reporters pressed for answers, asking what steps would be taken to prevent such an incident from ever happening again. The captain was clear: there will be accountability. This behavior is unacceptable, and we will make sure it is not tolerated in our force or anywhere else. Meanwhile, at City Hall, the mayor issued a public apology, Standing before a podium, he acknowledged the mistakes made by the police department. "We owe Sergeant Jameson and every veteran in this city an apology. What happened is disgraceful and will be addressed immediately." Within days, the police chief was relieved of his duties. The department announced new sensitivity training and a review of their procedures regarding interactions with veterans and minority communities. The officers involved were suspended pending disciplinary hearings. Some faced charges related to abuse of power and misconduct. The community, once fractured and wary, began to rally. Local organizations and veteran groups held meetings, demanding lasting change and greater respect for those who serve. Throughout it all, Cole remained quietly dignified. He did not seek the spotlight, but he accepted the support that poured in. Letters, messages, even strangers stopping to shake his hand. One evening, Captain Reyes visited him at the base. She said, "This is just the beginning. What you endured will help change things. People are listening now, Cole." He nodded, a quiet smile breaking through. "Maybe now, the road home will be a little easier, because sometimes it takes the courage of one to awaken the conscience of many."
Cole Jameson stood before the cameras, one last time. A reporter asked him what he wanted people to remember about the whole ordeal. He looked steady and calm as he answered, "I'm not looking for fame or headlines. I just wanted to remember my friend. That's all." The friend he spoke of was the one who had given him the motorcycle, a gift in memory of their bond and the sacrifices they shared overseas. A few weeks later, the Army organized an official ceremony at the base. The same captain who had led the convoy and stood up for him presented Cole with a medal. She pinned it carefully on his uniform and said simply, "This is for your courage, your sacrifice, and the respect you deserve." The crowd applauded, veterans and soldiers standing side by side. It was a moment of honor and healing. Back home, Cole's younger sister posted on social media with heartfelt words. He came back home. But home is more than just a place, it's trust. And that trust still needs to be earned. Her words echoed what many in the community felt. There was progress, but also a long road ahead to rebuild trust between citizens and law enforcement. The final scene showed Cole riding his motorcycle again along the same stretch of highway where everything had begun. This time the sun was shining without judgment or suspicion. He rode freely, with the wind on his face and dignity in his heart. Behind him a long line of motorcycles followed, veterans all riding in solidarity and respect. The road was theirs. A road to healing, understanding, and a future where heroes could simply be heroes. Because sometimes justice isn't just about what happens in a courtroom or a city hall. It's about the moments when people stand up for what's right, and when a community chooses to see the truth beyond its fears. Cole's journey wasn't just his own, it belonged to everyone who ever felt misunderstood, judged, or ignored. And in that shared story, there was hope. The road ahead was open, and for the first time in a long while it felt like home.